Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mechanical Marie, Season 1, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we had some guys very openly, I guess because they thought they were whispering to themselves, didn't think anyone else was nearby, were talking about Arthur's prepared himself against any poison, so they're like, well, we'll just have to put in 10 times the amount of poison if we want to kill him. But then Marie and Marie 2 immediately dispatching him. And I guess this answers my question of right, Marie 2 is always just going to be activated. Obviously, we're going to focus only on our Marie, but Marie 2 is there to kind of lighten the load, and it's also going to help in protecting Arthur. But Arthur's kind of upset because he's like, why is there such lack of security and stuff like that? But it's like, well, it's a byproduct of the fact is that there's such heavy turnaround employment wise, because even Marie says, it's like, well, Arthur fires people at the drop of a hat, because it also stems from his distrust of people, which is kind of a conversation that comes up later on too, in the regards of, he's like, oh, I like animals. They don't talk to you, nor do they lie to you. Because in his mind, it's like, well, if people talk to you, there's a good chance they're going to lie and manipulate you. And even Marie's like, man, does he really hate people that much? And is that solely a byproduct of his upbringing and considering who his family is? Has that led to him being so distrustful because anyone that's ever interacted with him has either wanted something from him, whether it's like, hey, someone from your family has hired me to kill you and remove you from the equation, or people have gotten close to you specifically so they can get something out of you because of your family, because they want to use you in that regard? Or is it just or has his interactions with people outside of his world kind of colored? Has it has people outside of that all treated him badly too, the reason why? Or is it solely based on his upbringing and his experience with I think, to be fair, those aren't mutually exclusive. Well, they might be mutually exclusive in the regards of you can't discount there is no separating Arthur from his family, so any interactions he has with people are always going to be tailored around and connected to that some shape or form. So that probably has skewed his view on people in general and made him not want to. So, but my point for that is that's why he is constantly firing people. Why he also wants perfection, because he wants to prove himself to his father, but also to himself and so many others who doubt him and his place in his family and being the heir to basically get everything. So I also love, because Marie came up with that BS last episode about her whole shtick being batteries. Now, here, because he's never seen her charge, because we see Marie 2 on her charger, but he's like, oh, how do you go about eating these batteries? And so Marie puts it in her mouth. She puts it in her own mouth and just sits there with it. And I even love it, gives the warning in the episode. It's these are very specific dry cell batteries from his family, so do not attempt this type of situation. And even Roy's like, oh god, Marie, we're both screwed. The fact is, it was nice knowing you. And then Arthur's like, cool, and just Roy's like, oh my god, he'll believe anything. It's like, yes, he's so particular about people, but Marie continues to be his major blind spot, which is so cute and adorable. But either way, Roy is telling him yo, Arthur, you need to relax. Relax. Even your father took time off and relaxed. It's and I love in his mind, he's like, to be fair, your dad did that through, means of other women. So it makes me wonder, does Arthur have other half siblings too, if that's the case? Or is Arthur the only quote unquote, from the family standpoint, it's Arthur the only illegitimate child? Or does he have other multitude of children? Arthur seems the one who catches the brunt of it, especially because he's the heir to the family, so that must mean he's the only one outside of his proper marriage, or what is considered the true blood lineage, which would include his brother, and so Arthur wants to relax with Marie and have her activate girlfriend mode, and now they kind of going on a date. But for Marie, this is uncharted territory, so she takes the principles she learned from her coach of, if you want to get, what basically you have to do is copy the strong. That's how you kind of want to improve. So how she's handling the dating side of things is there's a couple that she locked onto and she just copies what they did. It's like at first she's just like, oh my god, Arthur, I love you to bits. He's like, oh, don't call me master or sir, just call me Arthur, and he loves it. It's awesome. Then she sees the other couple get so cute when like one like hugs the other and she does it. We don't get to see it on screen, but it sounds like she broke Arthur because obviously she's ridiculously strong. Then the whole like feeding him thing, which was super cute and adorable. And poor Marie, she feels like every time she feels like she's making one step forward, she feels like she takes two steps back. So like the entire date and the whole thing, she feels like she's messing up because it's like, oh, let's go into this boat ride, but it's like, no, we can't do that because, oh, I'll short circuit or whatever. But it's like, really it's because Marie can't swim. And that's even sadder too because he's like, oh my god, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Oh my god, if something happened to you, Roy might try to haul you off again. And Marie's takeaway is like, oh my god, the situation in the last episode scarred him. He's so paranoid about doing anything that would hurt Marie to the point that he feels like Roy might use anything as an excuse to haul him. It's like, no, I don't want to take the chance. I might lose you again and I get permanently stuck with Marie too, because he's probably thinking like if something happens to Marie again, like she'll secretly be taken away and Marie too would become the permanent, you know? So I'm also surprised Marie didn't attempt the whole like, hey, like, because the couple in front, it's like, oh, it's like the guy is holding his girlfriend, like giving her a piggyback ride. I'm surprised Marie didn't try to do that, but like the inverse of like, hey, Master Arthur, or, you know, get on my back or try to get on his back. But she probably is like, oh, that's probably like she's, you know, figuring this out because I'm sure like I'm not saying sure in regards of like she wouldn't be. I'm thinking because of like her complicated nature of like her expressions and not being able to express herself, and like I'm sure that is probably like interfered with any form of a love life, you know, because we don't know what made Marie decide to get into fighting and why that became like her outlet, you know. There's a lot about Marie's history we don't know other than like, right, she got into this position because she took the job from Roy because it meant paying off her family's debts and stuff like that. And we still haven't interacted with her family. Do they not know what she's up to? Do they not care? We saw that flashback with like her mom about like her expressionless face, and that's the only like that was our only side of her mom we saw, and that was back when she was little. So who knows if her mom is still the same, you know? So then there was the whole gift situation, but then like she's like, oh, I want to do that, but then she saw them kissing and she's like, no, we can't do that, because I guess she's kind of nervous about like going that far, because it's actually really like the fact is that Marie's also struggling with, cool, we're doing this whole boyfriend girlfriend thing, but it's all pretend because obviously everything between us is based on a lie. He thinks I'm a robot, I'm pretending to be one, so it's like, right, what kind of relationship is that? But it's also like I'm only in girlfriend mode, I'm not his real girlfriend. Eventually he'll find a real girlfriend and like fall for someone for real. This is all us just playing pretend. So that's kind of a thing that sucks, because Marie does care about him in that way, but she can't really express that because she has to play the role of the robot. And she doesn't, and even if like she probably doesn't believe Arthur's like feelings for her are what they are, but because it's also like, right, you're only feeling the way you feel because you think I'm a robot, and if you found out I was a human, all of that would go away. And I'm sure that scares her and worries her. I mean, also because her and Roy are worried because, cool, Arthur will kill both of us if the truth comes out, especially knowing that Roy orchestrated everything. But yeah, she gives him the 4-leaf clover, and she thinks like, oh, that's stupid. This is just a plant. He's a rich person. Like, why would he care about it? But it's like, yeah, the small things matter, because for him, it's like something that is priceless and stuff, like something that is worth a lot of money and stuff like that means nothing if it doesn't come from the heart. So even something as small as a 4-leaf clover means the world because it's priceless, because it's something Marie picked up and made the choice of giving him as a gift from the heart, which is very sweet. I'm also curious to see if there becomes anything else from that church thing of like, they went to a church, which apparently Arthur has a lot of memories of coming here with his mom and dad. So I'm wondering if that ends up being something significant. Just seemed like an interesting detail for like that to be kind of where their quote unquote date ended. Wasn't necessarily meant to be the end of the date. I'm also curious, like, is that the church they got married at or something? Because that's also the spot where he was like, yo, Marie, can I kiss you? And she's kind of nervous and she doesn't know what to do, but it gets interrupted with Noah's introduction, which we saw him in the intro, and I was so curious, like, what his role is. He was hired by Arthur's brother. So it's like, right, he had all these other, like, assassins and would-be assassins just shit the bed and not get the job done. So now he's hired a top-class person, and Noah seems to be pretty good, and he's pretty strong, so even Marie struggles against him. And he's taken an interest in her. And then based on the title of the episode, I was like, oh, does he know Marie's secret? And we find out later on he does. And he didn't go into this knowing it, because he didn't know enough about Marie. It's like, he probably knew, like, oh, I have to go after Arthur. Probably knew about the maid, but he hadn't done any heavy research at the time. So he went into like, oh, who are you? And it's like, oh, I'm his assistant. I'm his attendant. I won't let you harm Arthur. But she gets so caught off guard, he pushes her off the building, and luckily Arthur catches her, which is very sweet and touching. And he's like, oh, like, next time you go in girlfriend duty mode, I will kiss you. Because, you know, she feels like in this moment, she's like, oh, I'm failing as my girlfriend duties and my bodyguard duties. Like I kind of failed at all of them, even though it's like everything worked out in the end. But I love her excuse being like, this mode takes up a lot of energy, so it can't be used often, because like her heart cannot handle this. Because it's like, well, if I use this mode too often, then like it'll give him the excuse to try and kiss me again, and my heart can't handle it. I'm not mentally prepared, because it's like I also have to think about like how will I react, because I think also like considering the circumstances under which the kiss happens, of like, oh, like he thinks I'm a robot and this is all fake, you know. She wants it to be real, but it's all fake. So for her, it just kind of takes away probably what might end up being her first kiss. Who knows if it's Arthur's? I'd assume it would be, but so there's a lot there. But then we find out that Noah transferred to the same school. In fact, he's in the same class as, I think, Arthur and Marie. I think Arthur just wasn't in the class at the time, but I guess Marie's, I think she specifically said my classroom. So I'm like, oh, are those two in two separate classes? I wonder, because I thought they were in the same. Maybe they were, and it's just like Arthur might have been in the bathroom at the time or something like that. But Noah reveals himself to be a complete another sociopath, because his whole shtick is he fell in love with her at first sight because she is so emotionless. And for him, it's like the notion of knowing like, oh my God, I could twist that emotionless face and contort it into pain. I'm like, and she's like, oh wow, this guy's complete another psycho. But it also turns out he's got blackmail on her, because even though Roy did a lot to scrub her history from like being searchable, somehow Noah found out about who she really is. It's like, cool, Arthur, how will he react if he finds out the truth? So it's like, yeah, let's just get together. So she has to play up the whole like, right, I got to stay near him. And obviously it's bothering Arthur, because it's like, yo, get away from her. She clearly is uneasy around you. And Noah's like, oh, Marie, do you want to get away from me? And she has to be like, no, I want to stay close to him. But it's like, no, I want to get closer to him because he's got blackmail against me. And so Arthur challenged him. He's like, I challenge you to a fight. Winner basically gets Marie, but it turns into a competition of chasing after 7 chickens. And I was like, that's just like the most, once again, that anime timing and randomness of like, yeah, we're just jumping into this. And Arthur, despite his prickly like personality, once again, towards humans, he does love animals. And so I guess it made it easier for him to grab up the chickens. Which obviously, seeing that soft side of him makes all the girls swoon. They probably would have already swooned regardless, but still. And obviously he wants to handle this on his own, but Roy's not following the same thing, because he gets other people's help, because there was no stipulation you had to do it alone. But the animals see Roy for who he really is, so they run from him, but he just uses his tools to capture himself. So it's 3-3. The 7th and final chicken is in play, and now it's just a matter of getting it. And Marie, wanting to help out Arthur, tries to tell him where it is, falls into the water, and Arthur dives in without hesitation to save her, because he also knows like, oh my God, she could die as a robot because of the water and everything. And then like I haven't commented on it, but I really do like those like really detailed like sketched like stills that they implement. I wonder what made him decide to do that like artistically for this anime. I wonder what made that happen. Because it can happen from time to time in animes, but like to use it as frequently as this series does, it makes me think of like, and I know other like just straight up cartoons, especially like American cartoons have done this. I don't know how much it gets used internationally. The thing that I always go to is like SpongeBob when they do those like severe like close up realistic thing. It kind of gives me that like SpongeBob's the one I think about initially, but I know other cartoons have done it because I've seen clips of it recently and just floating around the internet. It was like was it The Misadventures of Flapjack? It was a cartoon series from like quite a few years ago on the Cartoon Network. I think that utilized it too. I think Ren and Stimpy's kind of one of the originators of that as well. Those are like some of the ones that immediately come to mind. I'm just curious, like how many, like, and once again, those are, I think all of those are American cartoons. I'm pretty sure they are. So like, I don't know like how much like internationally, like how many like cartoons in other countries use that. Like I said, anime uses it from time to time, but it's not as used as frequently as they are used. It's meant to be like this like dramatic, highly detailed, captured moment type of thing. But it's so interesting that this uses it a lot, and it's, like I said, it doesn't seem to get used a lot in anime, and for this anime to kind of utilize it. And I'm wondering like, is that stylistically taken from the manga? Because like, does the manga have its art style, but then maybe every so often there's a panel or whatever? Not unless that's almost like cover pages, like, or yeah, because like covers or splash pages for the manga could be stylized in that manner, and it's meant to replicate that for the anime. Or like I said, maybe like the panels in the manga are highly detailed and done like that too, and it's meant to replicate it. I don't know. I don't know if that's like an anime choice or like I said, is that just taken straight from the manga. So either way, it'd be interesting. It's an interesting choice regardless of what it the inspiration from that was. But ultimately, because of Arthur's like willing to save Marie, Roy was going to give him the win. But for Arthur, it's kind of like, I'm not going to accept that because it's not, because it feels like I only won because you let me win. So he's like, Roy's like, okay, not Royce. I think I was saying Roy, sorry. Noah, it's like, well, no, it's a tie. You have this round. So we're not done with Noah. Definitely going to be more interactions with him going forward. So, but I mean, everything ends nicely. Marie's was, second guessing herself because she's like, this is all because I'm not stronger, but still it means the world to her that it's like Arthur cares enough about her that it's like, right, I might not be the strongest or this or whatever, but the fact is Arthur still does care about me. So that it's what kind of matters the most. And the end result being Arthur ends up being the one that gets sick. So I'm wondering if the next episode is going to skip over it, or will, we have that kind of, oh, Marie's taking care of a sick Arthur at all. I don't know if they'll cover that storyline at all next episode, or whether him being sick just kind of gets skipped over. It's going to be interesting to see how Noah's continued presence ends up playing a role in this story, seeing where everything goes. The whole like, oh my god, animals, the chickens escaping. The guy seems to be someone obviously that, what's his name? Toby, the guy that Arthur was interacting with. He's the one that was kind of like, oh yeah, let's start this competition. That guy, I think he was a character from the intro, so maybe Arthur and them will probably interact with that particular. I forgot what, like, I think they're a part of a club or whatever. Like, might interact with them more going forward. So I don't know. I'm interested, obviously, to continue seeing where the series ultimately ends up taking us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.